We're back and ready to go for another beautiful podcast with some beautiful people. Welcome everybody to Under Talk. Jordan, what are you sipping on out of that beautiful mug?
It's orange. It's Gatorade.
Is it? I caught like the supreme color contrast against the white mug there, and I was like, wow, is he drinking Citrus X?
Not sponsored, but I could have been this last week. I should have been, rather. That would have been good. Saving some coin.
Yeah. Well, I've got us covered in the sponsor department.
There you go.
Let's go. F-bomb today. Let's go.
Enjoy the rip it, Cole.
You know what? Conversation around Under Thieves is picking up right now. And as we barrel towards the end of the summer split, lots of things are up in the air for a lot of teams in the LCS.
Yeah.
Feels good to be a good team. Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding us. Yes. As always.
Narrative. Here's what we're learning, Cole. Some teams have perma narrative. TSM. Doesn't matter. Could be first, could be last. They're on everything. We, I think it's like 2. Second place is our threshold. Once we hit second, boom, we're in. We've got the narrative buff. We're undeniable now, and it turns out we're not sort of in second place. We're squarely in second. We've got a gap between us and the rest of the pack, and we're nipping on the EG heels.
Yeah, we've got one game of separation on both sides of us, just vibing in second place, and vibing is kind of the way that it looks, the way we played this weekend. But
that's right.
Here's the thing: a lot of people thought that we would maybe fall into a trap this weekend against 2 teams that are seen as lesser opposition. And I do admit that sometimes, you can see something like that happening. We fortunately cheer for Under Thieves. We're behind a winning squad. And the 2-0 was secured. It wasn't the easiest. But we did secure the flawless weekend, extending the win streak to 5, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah. Best in the league. Flawless in the second round robin. Papa Smithy correcting 2 games ahead of third. So we got cushion.
We got an extra separation.
Got a buffer.
Wow.
We've got a guardian angel just getting us out of that first loss. No problem.
Just revive and come back.
The GA is in place. Yeah. It wasn't like a super smooth weekend, to borrow Hooney's or
Hooney on the brain, Jordan.
Always to borrow Hooney's quote. Kind of a boring game. Didn't play very clean. I don't think that's a direct quote, but that's the sentiment that he gave in his post-game interview. That's about how it felt. I'm excited to talk to you about why I think that's the case and why I'm not concerned about that, Cole. Although it does feel like the general conversation is catching. I think people are starting to understand that this is not a weekend to look at and assume that the house is on fire and we're so bad that we can only barely beat the bottom 2 teams.
Let's put it this way. C9 has gotten away with much worse looking 2-0 weekends. We'll say that this split even. But honestly, I don't know. I had slightly different vibes between the 2 games. I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time, especially not about Dignitas. I don't think we'll talk much about that one, but my tweet basically from that game after taking it in was I really wanted to complain about pace because we were sitting there. I don't know how long the game ended up going. It was like 32 minutes or something, but it felt like we had been sitting on a lead with a, not so good opponent and we didn't push to end it. But at the same time, there's some weird part of me that just felt like we absolutely knew that we were superior and that we were going to win that game and that we weren't going to take any significant risks on the way to getting there. And I admire that. I actually admire that because it felt like we didn't need to slam these guys to show that we're better. It's just like, hey, we know we're going to win. So let's just let the game progress let it come to you. You know, you talk about like letting the game come to you instead of like making things happen. That's what it felt like we were doing to this. We had like a weird level of confidence to us, despite not playing super clean. You know, we had a couple of weird moments in this game. I remember an FBI death out of nowhere that was in particular super weird. But I never felt like, we're in trouble here. Solid gold lead most of the time. Like I said, not taking any kind of coin flippy situations. We were just better, and we played like it.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard you in the past talk about how, look, when you're one of the top teams, you know, number one, number two, the only thing you have to gain from a game like this is an absolute blowout, stomp, devastating loss for the other team. Like that's the only way. That's the only statement you can make. We're so much better. But I kind of feel like, what's the point? This is what the team has earned through demonstrating that they can and will show up to play EG and beat EG. Right? It helps that the proximity of the EG game is so close.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to prove that we can beat Dignitas, because we just proved that we can beat EG, and no one else, you know, has done that lately. Only one other team is split, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're X and 2 is the record.
I think so. Mm.
I can't remember who that team is, but that's okay.
It's probably like TSM.
It was probably that. Seriously. But look, we don't need to prove that we can do that. And so why over prepare for a Dignitas team? My dream scenario, Cole, is that we took the last week and we talked about Dignitas maybe once or twice, maybe like said the name once or twice. Like, who are we playing on Saturday again? Dignitas. and we spent the rest of the time that we'd normally spend preparing for the Saturday game just, you know, doing general playoff prep, like doing a draft session, like how do we, like, let's do a best of mock, like spend that time elsewhere and look okay against the Dignitas and collect the dub and move on. We're not the team that needs to maintain that we are unbeatable. We're not the team that needs to prove that we actually do belong, even though we keep losing against all the other best teams. But trust us, we're really in the top 3. That's not where we're at. So I'm personally not at all concerned about the fact that this was not like the worst loss in Dig franchise history. You know, that's fine.
What do you make about the people who were saying that since they had, you know, new like roster move players in, that we should have like smashed them harder? Like, do you like, look, there is something to like, oh, like this team has a new jungler, this team has a new top, like why would they be good? There's something to say for that, sure, right?
For sure. There's also something to say for the off mentioned like new team buff, like bringing out the new team. Nobody knows what to expect from these 5 players playing together, and it's a little bit hard to prepare as a result.
Here comes the solo game.
We've seen that time and time again. I got my top laner in before you got yours in this podcast, Cole. So I think I won that one. But well done on the solo reference. Yeah, I mean, I do exactly. So, you know, there are many times that a new squad with some amateur talent, or not amateur, but even academy talent, has come in and has performed really well. Instinct, right? The pentakill.
Especially if your team doesn't have any, like, how are they going to play? What research do you have on them? You know,
right? Probably
not a lot. So look, I'm not saying this is a massive thing. I'm not saying like this. Oh, this is a major consideration when predicting whether or not Hoon can, you know, triumph over Ssumday, right? I'm just saying, like, you know, sometimes it's a little weird. And, you know, it gets weirder when you play against picks like Hecarim, right? Never know when Hecarim is going to make a huge difference. XU being a extremely aggressive jungler also that we've seen. Like, I don't know. It has potential. And that's, I think, that was another facet of the game where I was actually kind of satisfied with the way we played it, because we had picks in Hecarim and Zeri that have a tendency to go a little crazy. You know, you don't know what you're going to get out of those picks. I felt like in the past we've struggled even against Hecarim, you know, and I don't know. They handled it well. They, like, again, didn't overreact to anything. They controlled the situation. You know, you kind of like mitigate any risk that you are seeing, and you just win the game. Now, we probably should talk about the top lane match because it was an interesting one. In fact, let's start by playing our new game. Our new game called Should We Play It? Where we talk about a pick and we opine on whether that pick goes into our arsenal or not. Top Silas Jordan, should we play it?
Yeah, I mean, I have full confidence in Ssumday's Silas. I like this pick because it's a flex. It's truly a flex for us. It can be played as a flex. Abbedagge and Ssumday are both comfortable on this champ. And I think it has a meaningful strategic role to play for us. I love Silas, the champion. I think he's just a super cool champ, well designed. I'm sure some people hate him for the exact same reason I like him. But what it does is if you have a team that's coming together and they have just dream ultimates across the board, it's like, well, I guess we got no choice. So the fact that you can both draft it, you know, so long as it's meta, which I feel like it was pretty hard nerfed out of the meta for a while there, but it seems reasonable and back now. It's just great to have. So I love the fact that we can play it in 2 lanes. Yes, we should play it.
Really interesting. I think I actually don't want us to play it, but
at all, or just top?
Just top.
Okay.
Well, though, to be honest, I think, have we not had historically great Abbedagge Silas games? He had one good one and one stinker, I think. But either way, it's like, I want people to be afraid that we'll play it, but I'm not necessarily wanting us to play it. I know that's weird because he obviously popped off in this game, despite being into melee versus ranged lane matchup and CS wise getting beat pretty bad by Hoon. You know, Hoon was 0-6 and Ssumday was 6-1. And the one death from him defending the Baron pit, or pretending to, at least, it was kind of weird. It felt like he took one too many ultimates that he wasn't expecting or something. I don't even know if it was an ult, but he died a little bit quicker than I think he was expecting to. So who cares? But like, you know, he had a good game. He was probably our strongest player in that game. FBI maybe up in that contention as well. But for whatever reason, it's like, I want people to be guarding against it. Not sure I 100% love it, but
you got to play.
I'm not gonna make a decision yet. Okay.
Well, I think you've kind of made a decision. If you want people to be afraid of it, you have to show that you can play it, which by definition means you're playing it.
Yeah. Well, check. Now let's do some of the other picks. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was bad. I'm just not sure I love it.
Yeah. Fair enough. You're not sold overall on this. You're not.
But I'm not.
Look,
I'm not out on it. I'm just not all the way in on it yet. You know, I'm gonna do my own research on the internet before committing to buying.
That's right.
Okay. Just wanted to put that out there.
Yep.
But there's one. I love that. Okay. Was this our first Sivir game for FBI?
I couldn't tell
or
you.
Was it our
second?
First,
but it sure feels like the first one we've. Maybe it's
this split.
Second since the mini rework. I want to say second.
Give me a second. I will tell you.
I'll stall for you. Look.
Yeah, it was his first.
Oh wow.
First of this split. I mean, so
chat at the same time saying it's our second. So we're split. We're split.
I mean, according to gameoflegends.gg, it's his second.
Wait, second?
I'm sorry. This was his first. Dignitas was first. Immortals was his second. Sorry.
Oh, that might be what I was thinking of. Is the first and second.
Right.
We saw it this weekend.
Yeah. Liked it though. Yeah. I really liked it. Q damage from a little bit of range seems like FBI's thing.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't think of it as a super FBI champ. I mean, um, like when you think about the things that make Sivir crazy, insane wave clear, late game scaling, super, unbelievable DPS at the end of the game. Like, he can use. It's got a utility ult that really benefits like the whole team. I mean, those aren't in my mind the things that are FBI's trademark. But turns out the boy can play hyper carry as well. Like we obviously knew that.
Yeah.
But in these games, it really felt like he was the reason we couldn't lose these games. Even if some goofy stuff happened, like nobody ever did anything to try to slow him down at all. And so by the end of the game, he was truly an unstoppable force. And they were just melting. It was not even, and that's kind of a beautiful thing because he is so good at playing aggressive ADs who need like the perfect positioning in a team fight. He's great at that. It almost feels to me like this is easy mode for him, where it's like I'm just gonna kind of kick back. I got a lot of scaling ahead of me, and then I'm gonna show up and just take a decent position. Even a decent position will do in these team fights at the end of the game, and everybody melts, and that's the end of the game. It felt like the insurance card, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, we got to the end of the game, and there's no way that the team could win a team fight against his Sivir.
And a cool 403 CS at the end of the game, by the way.
Yeah, not bad.
That's quite a bit.
It'll do. Probably all like 6 whole turrets of solo gold as well.
Yeah.
I don't actually track that, but
always nice when we have a meta pick that goes well for us, right? So I'm all in on that. If we're playing, should we play it with bot Sivir? My answer is for sure.
Yep.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about from this game? Like I think overall, it's similar to how I feel about the Immortals game, but the Immortals game is more nuanced.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some more nuance to that one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think we've hit on the 2 most interesting things about this game.
Yeah. Okay. So Immortals. Immortals is like one of those teams where everybody is kind of suspected that they're getting good.
Mm-hmm.
And the results haven't really been there yet. And I felt like so much of this has been dependent on Kenvi. And Kenvi seems to be getting a lot more comfortable as of late. And as a result, you're seeing some sick plays out of him. And he's looking like a difference maker for them. Revenge had his cute Aatrox game. That was fun. But really, I think it's like Kenvi. And they are coming online slowly. So this is almost like a reverse trap game because it traps people into thinking they're a bad team.
Right.
They're not. And they're definitely like bubbling up. It's complicated though, because we also played our most mistake prone weird game since we like got back on track from the first couple weeks, right?
I would say the whole split.
You think so?
Like to me, like nobody had their brain turned on all the way for this game.
Yeah.
It was bizarre. Yeah.
So it was like a combination of 2 things. One, that team that looks bad, but they're actually maybe kind of good. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then we definitely had some sloppiness. And I don't think we should gloss over the sloppiness. Now,
sure.
Yeah, let me go over some of the mistakes because I like there's enough of them that it paints a picture, right? Mm-hmm. Early on, we had like an attempted roam up to top from Abadaga and Huhi. Do you remember this? And guess what? IMT had 4 to our 3.
Yep.
And Abba kind of danced around, ended up giving over kill, and then Huhi, I think, got caught on the way out as well. Ssumday survived because he's Ssumday, he always does, but yeah, so we just kind of donated 2 kills and we erased like an 1100 gold lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through most of this, we kept the gold lead, by the way.
Yeah, right.
At least a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there. But we basically neutralized it, right? Then we had like 2 or 3 kind of, we'll call them like half engages from Abadaga's Talia ults. It was like kind of felt like we were going for it, and he would divide up the team, and then no one was really helping him, and maybe he was a little too far away, like he hopped off the wall a little early or something, just not really ready to fully commit to those engages. We had Huhi whiff a cask. Well, not really a whiff. It was too early around Dragon Pit. He tossed out a cask like too early. The dragon wasn't like at a time where they could smite and close it out, and people weren't close enough to follow up and fight. And it was weird. Maybe it had to do with PoE and Swain, because it's like if the team knows that if they walk into that area, contested area, and Swain like flashes in and ults, things could get dicey. But regardless, toss out a cask and absolutely nothing happens as a result. Abadaga looked for a pick around mid, like just north of the lane. He landed a seismic shove on Ignar, and all 5 Immortals players were in the area.
Surprise.
And we had like maybe a couple that were too far away to fight, but kind of in the vicinity or whatever. That was bad, and then Huhi down mid lane, when he was retreating away, did not flash the Ignar hook.
Yeah.
And that one I thought, I was trying to decide if I was stupid or not, because on the one hand, I definitely saw that coming. When he ducked kind of like up to go into the jungle, but then came back into lane, I was like, okay, you just gave him the perfect angle for the hook. You're going to have to flash this now. And then he didn't flash it and he died. And I was thinking like, maybe he's trying to hold the flash for like a flash body slam play when they have to fight around the next objective or something, but that didn't happen. So I'm not really, I don't know.
I had that thought too. I was like, it was actually kind of a weird moment where I was like, all right, you have either you're dead and you have, it's basically a 40-second cooldown, or you flash and you have a 5-minute cooldown. Like, to a certain degree, I can see the logic in just eating the death. That's a charitable view. And I still feel like, I don't really know if you're going to successfully argue that, but I did have that thought too.
Yeah.
Shorter cooldown on the well.
It was weird, right? It was, at the very least, it was weird. And then, as you pointed out, throughout all those mistakes, the one thing is we never really gave over the gold lead. Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It was like, yeah, we're messing up, but we are slapping hard enough that it doesn't really matter that we're messing up. It matters, but like there weren't too many consequences. Ssumday was like slapping revenge in lane. I don't even really know where else the gold was coming from.
Yeah, I think turrets.
Just turrets is all or something. But we just held even. Like when we made big mistakes, it went to even, and then we would gain another 1,200 gold lead, and then go back to even or whatever. So.
Hand it back.
There was this weird like through line of the game where we're still better. We're still just better. And we're having this frustrating game where like everybody's making mistakes, and yet we're still in the lead and we're still in position.
Yeah.
Now that it's almost like that's a desirable outcome at some point towards the end of the split. You want to have a game where you're in the trenches and things are going poorly, and you're still pulling out the win, because it's like, look, we're not at our best, but we're going to survive this. And then it gives you this confidence to win if things are going wrong, like in a best of 5, like game 1, best of 5, you don't necessarily just sack it up and wait for game 2. It's like, no. We've been here before. We can fight and see what happens. You want to have that resilience. This team has been together so long with each other. I think they know it by this point that they don't have to worry about things like that.
Yeah. The thing I don't get about this game is we made so many mistakes. You went through the list.
That was a sampling.
That was not even exhaustive. Yeah. We've lost other games after one mistake.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on here? I, I don't know if this is Immortals commentary or what, but it just felt so different that we kept having more chances to be in the game. I don't know. Um, I guess I get pinpoint what that's about, but it just felt so different from many games where, it doesn't take much to tip a game out of your reach. And for whatever reason, we just kept on staying in this game.
Yeah.
And then it was just over.
I think it helps to flip the perspective, right? Like, think of this game from Immortals' side. From their point of view, it's like you see this team that make a few decisions that kind of could be classified as inting, right? It's like, okay, they made some really bad mistakes. We're getting a really good game out of our jungler, getting a pretty solid game out of our mid laner. Things are going about as well as they could against this top team, and we are still just losing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you think about it in those terms, it's like, oh yeah, maybe that wasn't such a bad game. Now, I just want to be clear. I am not defending the mistakes. They were plentiful and bad.
Yeah.
And we got through them. And I would be shocked if that happens again. I think it was just kind of a more loose week, right, of League of Legends. So zooming back out to like the story of this game, you have a team who makes a bunch of actual mistakes, surviving confidently against a team who's kind of hitting above their weight and who might be kind of good now. And then when the opportunity comes to end the game, you easily end the game, right? It's like, okay, here's our opportunity. Boom. The game is over. It was over so fast.
Yeah. That's a good counterpoint, because maybe you could almost look at it as Immortals made a mistake and then the game was over, which is exactly what didn't happen to us.
Right. We made like 8 mistakes and we were okay. Immortals made 1 mistake and we ended the game.
Yeah.
That's a good punish.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good punish. And again, like, I know that they're not the best team, but they're a little better than they seem. So,
and I mean, they only barely didn't beat Evil Geniuses the day before.
Exactly. Okay, that's where I was going to go next. So, yeah, it's like, think EG really had to like struggle to pull that one out against them.
Yeah.
Okay. EG, number 1 team in the league, and I didn't watch super close. But to me, it didn't seem like EG was like totally trolling that game or whatever. It seemed like they were kind of getting beat by Immortals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to back, Immortals has these performances. It's like, yeah, maybe they're okay. And still, despite the mistakes, we still hold the gold leads. We still have the opportunity to win the game and seize it and don't waste it. This is a good outcome.
I agree. Yeah.
So I don't think we need to be tripping about the Immortals game is all I'm saying. This weekend was predicted by some people to be a 1-1 weekend because quote, 100 Thieves is going to lose one in the stretch, right? And it didn't happen despite the conditions for that happening being like close to perfect, So that's why I'm not tripping about this game. That being said, Jordan, mid to Leah, should we play it?
The most important question of all. No, I'm not convinced that this is. Look, I know that this is a highly meta pick. I know that everybody's playing it, and so of course we should play it. I didn't see us using it in the ways that make it a mainstay in the meta, though. Like, it felt like the walls all sort of fizzled in team fights. Like, never really had maybe once or twice, right? But like, for the majority of the time, didn't really have a devastating impact that they can. I don't believe he used them extensively to impact the side lanes. Again, didn't, I could be missing 1 or 2 of these, but I guess I just never had the impression from this champ that it was, so busted. Very clearly, like, he ended 0-2-6, right? And I know that there are many other examples of Talia having a much more dominant scoreline than that. So it just didn't really feel like it was that game breaking champ that it often can be. That being said, I think any champ that is so squarely in the meta is worth a continued look. But after this game, if I had to make my call, should we play Talia? No, this game did not convince me that we are a team that's going to be much better if we can get our hands on it.
I want one more game. Give me one more game. Let's see it. Sometimes Abadaga just needs a second game on the champ.
Yeah,
for sometimes he just needs Karma. It. And I have seen it be so incredibly powerful. Enough that I'm willing to be like, yeah, so it's like, should we play it? I don't know. Should we be playing it? Yes. Does that make sense? It's like, theoretically, yeah, we should be playing this thing. So right. I think he should earn another chance on the champ before playoffs, so we can decide whether to keep it around. Of course, though, maybe they'll just nerf it all to Narnia when playoff patch rolls around.
And it did win us the game, so like that is a positive note for it.
there's some check in the pro column there, right?
Yeah. But, he's had a lot of great games lately. And if those champs are open, I don't know that I would deprioritize those champs to get his hands on Talia. Unless, to your point, it's to get another rep on it in a game that doesn't have season-ending implications.
Yeah. Well, I think we can take this point to kind of move on to talk in general about some things we're feeling about the team. I do want to start this section by saying I think I was wrong. About the dragons and objective bounties, because it seemed a lot during this weekend like we were really going for them regardless of the situation.
Really? I got the opposite impression. This is interesting.
It's if you are making a decision to not take the drag, you don't show up for the fight. And we kept showing up for the fight, and we would fish for an opportunity and then we would have to give it up. I don't know.
How when you say show up, to what degree were we showing up? Was it like
it's like people recalling and you send 4 there, Okay. It's kind of like
not just like
it's kind of like they wanted it. I think there was a smite steal from was it Dignitas? Maybe it was Immortals. Sure. One of the 2 games, I'm pretty sure there's a smite steal and an early dragon away from us. It kind of seemed like we wanted those dragons. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So maybe this whole thing was just, kind of retroactive excuse making.
They gotta give the impression, Cole, that they're invested, so that teams still. Look, if 100 Thieves never plays dragon, you just solo it with your jungler all the time.
Gamesmanship is the explanation. If that's not the biggest fanboy way of looking at this, I'm not sure how we could possibly do it anymore. Anyway, I think maybe I was wrong. I just want to put that out there.
I'm not convinced yet. Look, there is a strategic decision to make around dragons. It is entirely possible that the team is deprioritizing it in some way. Now, whether that means they show no interest, fully just don't forget that there are dragons on the rift until the 3rd dragon spawns. That's very different. And I think that's a bad strategy. The way it feels to me after watching a couple more games is we are opportunistic with it. If it's available, we'll take it. Although I swear there was one point where we had lane prio, we had jungler in the area, and we didn't take it. It was the Cloud Drake in whatever game Cloud Drake was first, maybe Immortals, and we just left it. And I feel like there's something to that too, where I know that teams will do this, where they will intentionally leave a dragon on the table if they are not viewing that as either like a win condition for them or whatever, just because it delays a potential comeback win condition for a losing team, right? If you're not keeping the dragons rolling, it's going to take that much longer, and eventually you just beat them before soul point is even on the table. So I don't know. I'm not fully convinced yet that it's not something we're doing a little bit more intentionally, in the same way that some teams really emphasize Rift Herald and other teams don't. I think it could be a thing still.
Foolish, by the way. Get those towers down. Get those dang towers down.
Who was it? Is it Dignitas who would like they could set their clock to it?
The old Dignitas.
Yeah. I feel like they've had some changes to Rift Herald since then, but Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun meta. There's just like every game,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, all right. Well, but
Free
at the same
free
time,
lane time.
the game has kind of moved into like, you know exactly when the fights are all the time. It's like everybody's just vibing until the objective fight.
Yeah,
Kind of
a little bit.
weird right now. The game's kind of in a weird spot, it feels like. Anyway,
Unless you're us against Immortals, and you just get randomly caught in any number of places. I didn't bring this up with the mistakes. I felt like every time we got picked, we had all sums up and we didn't ult. I think they had just enough chain CC that it's like you get hit by one thing and it's over.
It's like, well, all right. First link in the chain. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. I wanted to bring up an Emily Rand quote, a point she made.
Okay.
About the team. And this was on the JLXP that came out today. And she said she remembered having conversations with the team last year during the quote rough stretch, right? And she said something to the effect of, this is not a direct quote, but something to the effect of, last year when the team was struggling, they seemed worried, but it's not like that this year. It was like, it seemed like a little more panicky, I guess, a little like, what do we do? And this year there isn't that worry apparently among the guys, at least not outwardly. So I'm kind of surprised to hear that there was that worry last split, because it just didn't feel like they were that bothered. But that's pretty explicit. You know, that's not hiding it at all. If those are the conversations she's having and she's able to report on that, good sign, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
If you like, I don't know, if you are that confident to where, like when you play poorly, you're still going to win. And even if you don't, it's like the next one will be fine. That is the vibe of the team that we've always wanted to have, right? And this is one of the things that we pointed out that's been different with this roster since we figured out that we could win. It was like, there's no panic. It's not the same, like, say against like some of the LA Thieves, matches where it's like, honestly, I have no idea how we're going to salvage this, which by the way, they did, and all credit to them.
Yeah.
They won a major.
Yeah, they did.
But you know what I mean? There's this sense of like, I'm not sure what the problem is or how to fix it. Yep. And that's not what you want to have with the team. So I think I take this as a very good sign, especially like going into the last couple of weeks of the split where you have some leeway to kind of like do a couple last experiments, right? Like have a couple of silly games.
Yeah.
So,
well, and even the silly games, I feel like we're getting value out of. Like you could look at the Immortals game and say it was silly because it's a comp we've not played before. But if that's, I mean, I feel like chat's constantly bringing this up. Like we're limit testing. We're trying things for playoffs. Like, yeah, it's all good. I mean, this is what you earn when you get to this point. It's you have a cushion. You got room to breathe and try things, and you're not risking your entire season and worlds when you do. That's great. That's the ideal place to be. It's not just scrims now where you have to try stuff and then try to divine if that scrim outcome means you're actually good at it, or if it just means the other guy is, goofballing. And it's like the thing they said about solo. You catch that? Or they're
yes. They did not mince words about that. Like, again, more JLXP, which this is just the JLXP reaction podcast now. But he was talking about, I think it was both, honestly. But in JLXP, he was mentioning, he was like, he's actually bad. He's bad in scrims. Like you do not get high quality scrim because he's bad.
Yeah.
But the stage bump.
Full aggro all the time. So anyway, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I liked another point they brought up this week, continue the reaction pod, but it was Emily as well. Look, she made a great point here. And this is the piece that's been missing on the narrative. She actually connected this team to RNG and was careful to not say that, like, She wasn't drawing a direct comparison here, but she was saying that there are similarities in how RNG would handle stuff. It's just they would take breaks and they would give people rest, and they wouldn't go 100% every week all the time, because they had a better sense that this thing is a long game. And I think this is important, that there were players on that team who had a mature enough understanding of the game that they, like, their ability to play wasn't based solely on reps and like meta read, right? Like, if you don't have 100 games on this champ in this patch, you're useless. It's much more like, yeah, somebody could probably play that. Give it to Ssumday. That kind of thing.
Yeah. It was nice. And one of the, maybe the only times you'll hear someone kind of say that's okay for an LCS team. Though she wasn't explicitly doing that, but it was, it's kind of like at least making that connection. Yes. So I think maybe we've earned it to not freak out about things a little bit. Maybe this is the split where that's finally turned.
For now, for the time being. And so we shouldn't.
So I want to use a couple listener takes to kind of segue into the next point of conversation. And this one will be an interesting one. And it's, of course, talking about Ssumday and the respect level that he's getting when it comes to player of the game and MVP and like all that stuff, right? So couple of questions here, or I guess a take in a question. James R. Mulaney said Ssumday leads the league in Rob Player of the Weeks, which is funny. And it's exhausting seeing the man tied for most player of the games and in second in league standings get ripped, I think is what he was saying. I think there's a typo. So there's that. Okay. And then Nameless also asked, is Ssumday the most disrespected LCS pro of all time?
Yes. That's great.
So here's, if you don't mind, Jordan, I want to say a little bit about this.
Please.
The Player of the Week award is usually a narrative-driven award. It's kind of for funsies. It's kind of feel good. And it also takes into account how good the player is.
Yeah.
It's not solely based on how good the player's weekend is. Now, we learned this very, very poignantly when earlier on in the split, on Ssumday's birthday, he had like awesome pop-off games, and then Inspired got it. Inspired got Player of the Week because Inspired played some doo-doo teams and looked good.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was like a legitimate robbery. I was upset. I could see the argument for Inspired that week. I remember like being like, okay, I get it, but at the same time, that should have been Ssumday's award. This week, I saw a lot of people in my mentions and talking about stuff like really trying to push this, that Ssumday should have gotten it. And I do not agree for this week that it went to the wrong player. I do think Berserker should have gotten it.
There we go.
Ssumday had an awesome Silas game, and he did pretty well against Immortals. We were playing very weak competition, and Berserker had like a pentakill and looked incredible, had insane plays on both sides. So I know a lot of you want me to say that Ssumday got robbed this week. And while I would say he got robbed earlier this split against Inspired, this week I cannot agree with that.
Okay. That's big of you.
Do you have any counter to that, or are you in agreement?
I certainly have no counter. I'm happy to share my opinion on the most disrespected player.
Yeah, go you. Why don't you take that?
All right. Yes, the answer is yes. Let me just break it down for you.
I think we should caveat this by saying since 2018, since we don't have the knowledge about before that.
Yeah, I don't have direct knowledge, but I've word of mouth. He's been performing at an incredibly high level for basically 3.9 years of the last 4. Like, he's always in the top 3, probably top 2, if you're being honest, of the league. There's that one stretch where he slumped. He slumped one time in 4 years. And we were all like, I guess that's it. I guess that's it. And then he comes back with a vengeance and demonstrates that he's still capable of playing at exactly the same or higher level.
Do you remember when he was just carrying us through some very dark time? And there's that one meme of like the soldier kneeling with his arms out with all the arrows and stuff in his back, like in front of the person sleeping on the bed.
Yes. Yeah. That was amazing. And look, I think I am a Ssumday fan. I'll grant that, to my opinion. That's an important footnote to my take. I want to give props to Kobe because he's the only person on the broadcast. Everyone else is always like, I'm just not sure about Ssumday. I don't know if he's got it anymore. And Kobe's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He is so good. And he would routinely go to bat for Ssumday, and just on like in the middle of a game, he would like he'd break out his notepad and be like, here's his stats. Here's what he's done. He is solo winning them most games. He is so good. And so that's what gives me confidence that it's not just me liking Ssumday because he's Ssumday. Like, I think he's genuinely been very good. And I think it's just so easy to lose sight of good players or great players who are on teams that are underperforming. It's so easy to do. And I think you don't need to look further than this split where we were 4th, then 3rd. And it wasn't until we hit 2nd and separated ourselves from the pack that I was like, I do think this team's pretty good. I think they're pretty good. And they're not as boring as I thought they were. It's like, it takes that. And then people are like, and that's Ssumday. Turns out he still got it. It's like he had it. He's never lost it. He's had it the whole time. He is the most disrespected. Yes.
So this is the thing, because I see Papa Smithy in chat was saying it's worth noting he was voted 2nd best LCS top of all time this week. So perhaps the disrespect is a little read into, in my opinion. So here's the thing about that. Jordan and I grew up in a town that had maybe the best like water in the country, right? The tap water in that place is so incredible. It's like drinking from a fresh mountain spring, only you're in the middle of Illinois, right? And while you're there, you do not care at all about it. Like, it's just there. You just take it for granted. Then when you don't have it anymore, you will realize very keenly that things are different. And I think like it takes, yes, he got the 2nd best LCS top of all time this week, which is deserved, by the way. Like obviously I can't take it back to like the direst days to tell you, where some of those guys should fall or whatever. But yes, there were like, I don't know if that was a vote or if it was like 2 or 3 people making those decisions or whatever. I don't know. He got his due in that. But when it comes to the day-to-day, week-to-week, kind of like in the moment, no one appreciates him for what it is. You have to zoom out and see the big picture. And yes. So I'm not sure he's the most disrespected of all time. All that's to say, I'm not sure he's the most disrespected all the time. But I do know that there is it's hard for him to get credit on a small time scale, So I will say that.
Yep.
He's tied first for player of games. Yeah. Yes. That's voted for casters and broadcast team. And they do have to pick someone from the winning team to be there. So he's picked out of what is probably realistically going to be 2 options every time, So I'm just saying it's a little bit disrespectful. Now,
wait, has he
this
never got
split,
player of the week?
No, not this split. He hasn't been player of the week this split. Who is there a top laner playing better than him right now?
I don't think so. I mean, no. Who would it be? Not Bwipo, not Fudge.
Bwipo, nope.
Not Revenge.
Fudge, no. It's him or Impact, and I think he's been more impactful than Impact, right?
And not to have recency be the full measure of the thing, but Impact did go 1-8 on Quinn. Like that's a rough game. That's got to reflect in the voting somehow.
So I think we have an opportunity then to see if he's going to get first team all LCS. He's not getting MVP.
No,
there's no chance he's getting MVP. But I think we'll get to see it. If he gets first team all LCS, cool, deserved due.
Yeah.
But we shall see if that happens, or if it's just everybody votes EG players like, in the Cloud9 days.
I'll just say this one last piece on Ssumday. I think everyone loves Ssumday. He's an incredibly likable guy. I cannot think of a time that people have talked negatively about Ssumday. Maybe when he was slumping, you'd hear some things. No one dislikes him. I think that people forget how good he is sometimes. I do.
Yeah. Well, he's been very good for a very long time. He's been doing plays like, that all in from Hoon under turret where he just didn't have enough. I think that's like the signature style of Ssumday play. Like if LeBron's signature play is a block off the backboard,
yeah,
then Ssumday's is like surviving somebody turret diving him with like 4 HP, All right. There's a Ssumday conversation. A lot of people wanted us to do that, so I just wanted to oblige for a minute.
We don't talk about Ssumday enough. We ought to do it more often. There we go. That was fun.
Okay, let's go to some of the other takes or questions. Jordan, there is a take from a new listener called JC101. I don't know if you're familiar with G.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Our is JC101 the most overlooked taker of all the 100 talkers?
Yes, and the host should be disgusted with themselves. Next take.
Okay. He says red pepper flakes take. I like seeing the different style team comps. Even if we don't play them fully to their strengths, it shows that we're looking for new ways to be unpredictable in a best of 5. Did we play new styles or new comps this week, in your opinion? And if so, do you agree with his appreciation for their purpose?
Yes, we did. I think definitionally that is the case. I'm not sure that you could argue against that. So yes. And yes, look, if you want to have me heap praise upon you, just make this take in some form each week. I think it's a great point. I'm not going to claim credit for having thought of it or shown a light on it the first time. I recognize this is not like the most analytically advanced take of all time, but I think it's a great thing to remember that when we do stuff like this, it's not because we think that this is what's going to allow us to gigastomp Dig or Immortals. It's because we want to get some time in the lab. The lab being stage.
All right. Bamatide88 asks, what champs would you still like us to see us play besides Yone?
This would require me to have a really good read on the meta, which I'm unfortunately not able to say I have. I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have an answer actually to this.
Oh, well, please let's hear it.
I very much enjoyed the Chime Bard.
Oh,
and I really would like to see us play that. I'm not sure it's like gonna be one more tool in the tool belt to win all these best of 5s, but I really liked it. He got a lot. He landed so many of those ults in very interesting times and ways. Like I always like me some Bard ults.
He's kind of like he's like Darkuth though, right? Like he is Darkuth level of Bard good, I think. So
possibly, maybe not.
That was not a situation. I know Chime's known for it. I picked this up from the cast. I didn't know this about Chime. That's like the champ he's known for. So I think when you're that good at a champ, you get to pull it out.
It's like Bjergsen Zillion, right?
Exactly. Darkuth Saint's a silly comparison, only because I messed up. He's almost as good as Darkuth at Bard.
Oh, I corrected you. Don't worry. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. There you go. So yeah, everyone's gonna go to Huhi, Aurelion Sol. I don't think we need to get like memey with it. Like that's become a meme at this point because I think that champ is just so far out of what the game is now that it's not possible. But sure, I like that idea.
Do you have a counter?
I would like to see us. This is kind of a weird answer. I would like to see us play Akali mid again. It's been a long time. Have we seen it? I don't think we've seen it this split. I think it's been since last split. So or some assassin mid. I think the assassin mid would be cool because we've seen. Maybe we did once. I'm trying to remember now.
A Zed? You want Abadaga to pull out the Zed?
Give me the
Talon.
The Aurelia. Aurelia.
Am I making this up? I swear someone banned Talon against Abadaga like earlier this split. I swear I saw this. Am I making it up? I was making.
I'm just thinking of all my favorite champs now. So this take has devolved into me just saying I like to watch. So Aurelia, get me a Fizz, please. Hit me with some of that stuff.
Okay, bonus answer from Extra Citrus 3 in chat who says I want to see FBI play Lee Sin.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll go with that.
What was the take from recent week? It was the next time we see this.
Oh yeah,
it will be played by FBI.
It will played by FBI. What? Who was that? Yeah, someone last week.
That was the Yasuo, I think. Right? Wasn't it Yasuo?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. SX Spectre says, "Can 100T keep up the same skill throughout playoffs?"
Sorry, what? Say again.
Can 100T keep up the same skill throughout playoffs?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I mean, we have no reason to doubt that they can. We have reasons to believe that they can. We've seen evidence to suggest it. So I would say until proven otherwise, which is honestly going to have to be at the end of this playoffs. Spoiler alert. I'm going to say, yeah.
We're going to be better, baby.
Oh, there it is.
Let's see. Scotty Kulaga says it's crazy that we're, quote, not a regular season team, yet we're undefeated in the second round robin and are one game away from first place with 2 weeks to go in the regular season. I wonder what it feels like to be a regular season team.
Yeah, that's a.
I just like how he phrased it, so I wanted to read it out
loud. Yeah, that's a really good question.
We don't need to be. Thankfully, we don't need to be. Okay, let's see. Curly from Flight Check, shout out Flight Check crew, said if 100T played the way they did this weekend against most other teams in the LCS, they would have went 0-2. Possibly. If FlyQuest was one of those teams, they wouldn't have lost. I don't know.
Oh, brother. I'm going to say this. We wouldn't have prepared the same for other teams in the LCS.
Exactly. So. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, like, obviously it wasn't a squeaky clean week from the boys. So that is what it is. So Curly's point is taken, but
yeah,
I don't know. Look, it just seems like there's not, like, beyond C9 and Team Liquid, and Team Liquid maybe is a question mark still. It's like, there doesn't seem to be much, below us.
Yeah. His take is right. If we played that way against other teams, we would have been punished much more severely. So yeah, that is true. I continue to believe that we know better. And we've demonstrated that we know better and that we'll prepare differently and play better against stronger competition.
Yeah. Diggity Thor asks, how much longer will this win streak last? We currently have the longest running one in the LCS, having taken down EG last week.
Yeah. Well, we got Golden Guardians and C9 this week.
Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, we still have FlyQuest, CLG, and Team Liquid on the schedule.
Yeah. I don't think we'll finish out undefeated. That doesn't make me sad to say. I could see us losing against Cloud9. They're looking really good.
I'm predicting that, matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. I hope that C9 brings a really good game against us because that will be great playoff prep.
And good timing for us to have a really good game going into those opponents. You've got like mid-range opponents with high ceilings at times. So it's a good time to have something that beats you up a bit, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll say it. I think it goes through Saturday and Sunday.
But I'll also think it's highly likely we don't lose after that. So
yeah.
But we'll see. I still think we're in a better position than C9. Like I still like us over C9 in playoffs, but
sure. I think Liquid could be interesting. Their last game of the split for us. By that point, we'll be likely settled in the standings. Like may have secured a bye at that point. So we probably don't honestly prepare a ton for that game. Yeah. And Liquid will be fighting for something. So they'll be ready to play.
Yep.
Okay.
David, we didn't check how to say his last name, but David Sajnuk says, under the assumption that Optic returns to the LCS next year, which is that rumored? Optic LCS?
Yeah, I've been hearing that. Yep.
Okay. Which team do you have more of a rivalry with, TSM or Optic?
Ooh. TSM would say that they don't have a rivalry with us. And honestly, at this point, they need to get better before we can keep that going. So yeah, Optic. I'd say Optic.
I think the Optic thing really didn't survive past the first year. You know what I mean? Like we had
in the LCS.
I remember the first time 100 Thieves played Optic, since the formation, and it was a huge deal, and it was like really cool centerpiece of the heist that week. Unbelievable episode. But what's happened since then with Optic and us, LCS wise? I don't think we really care. It's like if there is an Optic rivalry, it's bleeding in from other esports.
Oh, for sure. I think it would to a degree, for sure.
And let's not forget, TSM knocked us out of playoffs that year, right? We had the finals against TSM that we lost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think you're right, though, that TSM needs to step it up a bit, but I don't think we really have strong rivalry with either one of those teams. I would maybe lean towards TSM when it comes to League of Legends, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if Optic used their existing, relationship with 100 Thieves to try to build something, though. Like in their hey, we're back, like they would probably try to build that game up in the same way that it was built up the first time we played them, is my bet. So.
An aspirational hyping.
Yep.
Well, I guess Optic does have most recently the upper hand against us because they gave us Meteos back. And we all know how that went. So tip of the cap.
Oh boy. There. Oh yeah. That was a good one.
Tim7, who's an ass, best team with best analytics, yes or no? I'll hang up and listen. Seeing as there's nothing to gain by him asking that question. No ulterior motives here. I think we can answer just straight up. Yes. This is definitely a yes.
Yeah.
Cloud9 is tracking CSD for supports. And we have the Oracle's Elixir guy.
Yeah.
We win.
They'll never live that down.
Nor should they. Nor should they. That's when your partnerships team lets you down.
Yeah. That's why you edit the content that your partnerships team is taking point on. That's how that works.
Let's see. And then I think we had one more. And I will find it and read it. Yes. Okay. Noah P asks, and we've kind of dodged this for a while because this isn't something we normally talk much about. But Noah P asks, what do you think 100T should do with Tenacity and Busio? Personally, I feel they are way more than LCS ready, and I would hate to lose them to other teams at such a young age. But how could we lose Ssumday and Huhi and be okay with that? It's tough. And therein lies the conundrum. I think it kind of depends on what ends up happening with the split. If we win finals, it's pretty hard to argue to shake things up when you win LCS finals. You win LCS finals and bomb out of Worlds, maybe there's more room for that conversation. If you don't win LCS finals and you do well at Worlds, probably not. So I think it's very results based. But the problem is, I agree that we have two pretty big talents bubbling under. And not only do we have like a good talent in Tenacity, but we have also a good talent behind him. So I don't know when the changing of the guard is going to be, but let's not disrespect Ssumday on the pod where we talked about as Ssumday being disrespected. He has been as solid and reliable as you could ever hope someone would be for you. And I don't see signs of that turning around. So I don't think we make a change there. Tenacity may end up being a casualty of that, just like too much talent in the position. So maybe he gets sold off. Busio? Maybe. I think there's room for a conversation to move him up into Huhi's spot. But again, really good postseason performance out of the guys. And it's really, really hard to make an argument to replace anybody.
Yeah. Yep. I think, look, if you make roster changes to a team that wins 3 or 2 splits in 2 of 3 splits, then you are not making wise decisions. But that's just, you can't do that, especially with a gap in between. I think it makes it even a harder decision to make changes. It's like, look, even when we didn't win it, we came back and won it again. So why would you make a change here? That's a very good question that I think you would not be able to justify. So I think it is going to come down to how we perform. I think it's actually really important how we talk about it too. There's going to be a changing of the guard moment where we say the future is beginning now, right? I don't think it's fair to expect Busio and Tenacity to be better than Ssumday and Huhi on day one, right? Because they're so good still. I mean, we just spent a lot of time talking about it. Everybody else is talking about how good we are. They're playing great. But surely the future, like that's the future talent we have. So I just hope that we do a good job of communicating that when we do eventually put them in, assuming we do, that people don't, we don't start sitting 4th place in the table, 5th place in the table, and people say these guys are boneheads.
Shouldn't have done it. Yeah, right.
Shouldn't have done it. Because we've seen, actually, I think there's great evidence to support just how good the talent is that comes through our system, like Kenvi, like even like Contracts. I mean, he has made huge strides from last split to this split alone. And he is a less raw talent than these other guys like Luger, like Poom. So there's going to come a time where we have to stop selling this talent and start just putting it into our LCS roster. It's going to be a hard point. But I'm confident we'll, or at least if we message it right, I'm confident that we can make it work.
Yeah, we're starting to approach the point where there's going to be a lot of like former 100 Thieves players and prospects that are floating around in the league being good for a bunch of teams. And so at some point we're strengthening our competition, I guess. But what else do you do? And
we've done a good job of beating those teams up to this point. So I don't think at any point I felt like, oh, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have let him go. Like it feels like we played it right every time.
Right.
But eventually you get burned by that.
What a sick problem to have, by the way. It's like, we have 3 really good top laners. What do we do?
Oh, man. Yeah. All domestic talent. Oh, bummer.
A quick shout out, by the way. We don't typically do this on stream, but Atlas came through with a $20 donation. It's a great show as always. Really looking forward to playoffs. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Atlas, for the generosity. Yeah. That's always appreciated, never expected. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about next week really quick, and then we'll get on out of here.
Wow. Big
we-
moment of suspense. waiting for these
Suspense,
predictions,
yeah,
Cole.
is knowing how we already kind of talked about this. Game 1 versus Golden Guardians that are 4-9, tied for 7th place. They lost to both CLG and TSM in the past week, despite acquiring River. So, what are you thinking there?
Didn't work. Their push for playoffs didn't work. We beat them.
Another week of practice does not make a difference for you, huh?
Nope. Look, I'll remind everyone, I'm at the point where until we prove to me that it's not worth picking us, I'm picking us in games like this.
Yeah, I'm taking us too. I just don't see it happening. The River has historically been pretty good against us, and so has the Griche, as we've talked about. But as of late, we found ways to control that. So I think against Golden Guardians we'll be fine. But then game 2 versus C9 on Sunday, Jordan. They're 8-5.
boy.
They're tied for 3rd. They beat FlyQuest and Team Liquid. I just get that feeling, I get that feeling. They're the team that frustrates me to no end.
Yeah. Yep.
And though I will admit, I think something about the role swap for Sven has dropped him down the most punchable list. I just don't feel like he's as punchable anymore.
How's Fudge doing on that?
list? Fudge is still firmly on that list. Anyway, they are the kind of team that will pull off these stupid wins all the time. And they seem to be finding their form. Plus, the thing I always say, it's hard to win for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a streak, and going into the C9 game is presumably going to be 6 in a row for us. And if C9's still surging, it could be really, really tough. Berserker looks insane. Is he being considered an MVP candidate, by the way? I know Inspired is like the leading candidate.
Yeah.
It's interesting if
I don't think
Berserker is not.
I haven't heard that conversation, at least around him. I think it's because they've been shaky for more of the split than other teams have, is my guess.
Yeah. Interesting. I could see him being in that conversation though, and he looks freakishly good. So we shall see. I mean, we've had actually a high number of fun stomps against C9. In fact, a number of them that I have done VOD squads for. So maybe we should just go ahead and pencil in a VOD squad for C9 and watch the dub roll in. I sure hope that's the case. It does, like I said, the fact that we didn't perform so well this week, I think actually bodes well, because we got away with it. Plus, you had your bad performance, and that'll kind of jolt you back into action a bit. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I do think it's going to be a 1-on-1 weekend for us.
Yep. I could see, watch the top lane. I could see us playing through Ssumday on this game.
That would be sick. That'd be my most desired outcome, I think, is to smash Fudge. So,
yeah, I think it could happen.
All right. Anything else before we say goodbye to the kids?
I think that's it.
Well,
I'm glad that this weekend was a 2-0, and I'm glad that people aren't freaking out about these games.
Yeah, and we'll be doing a rec league this Thursday. That will be quite fun. So follow us on Twitter to make sure to keep up to date on that, or hop in our Discord as well, because the announcements will be made there. And we will look forward to playing with you guys on Thursday. Let's keep the energy up for the dubs. It's a huge esports weekend, right? We got LCQ for Valorant,
right?
COD champs this weekend. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch a lot of wins happening for us. So
can't wait. Wow.
Let's go. Run it up.
Boy, big time.
Yeah. All right. Guys, we love you. We miss you.